Welcome to Strange But True. Take a breath, slow down, and listen carefully. Some stories are documented, some are debated, some refuse to be explained. We tell you the stories. You decide what's true. Now, let's begin our journey. The Altai Highlands sit at the meeting point of four modern nations: Russia, Mongolia, China, Kazakhstan. This is not a marginal landscape in the archaeological record. For more than a century, it has been mapped, excavated, and surveyed in detail. National institutions and academic teams have treated it as a core region for understanding early human history in Eurasia. The terrain is severe: high ridgelines, deep valleys, seasonal extremes, long winters, short summers. Yet the record shows people returned here repeatedly over tens of thousands of years. At Denisova Cave, excavations led by the Russian Academy of Sciences exposed deeply layered deposits. Each layer was logged, measured, and catalogued in formal field reports. Stone tools were classified by type and technique. Animal remains were analyzed and stored. Hominin fossils were recorded, photographed, and curated in institutional collections. These materials form a precise, stratified archive of human presence in the Altai. They do not rely on folklore or oral tradition. They rest on excavation methodology, laboratory testing, and peer-reviewed documentation. Beyond Denisova, the wider highlands contain thousands of registered sites. Burial mounds, known as kurgans, are plotted across valley floors. Rock shelters and seasonal camps appear in survey inventories. Petroglyphic complexes stretch along rivers such as Tsagan, Salar. Remote sensing teams have combined satellite imagery with ground surveys. They have mapped ancient routes through mountain passes and river corridors. Seasonal movement patterns are visible in repeated site distributions. Taken together, these records describe a landscape of sustained mobility and occupation. The Altai is one of the most intensively documented movement zones in Central Asia. Yet within this depth of documentation, a specific category of evidence remains absent. Despite decades of fieldwork, there's no formal, institutionally curated footprint record of ancient human tracks preserved in the Altai terrain itself. At Denisova Cave, researchers recovered bones, tools, and cultural material. They did not publish a catalogue of in-situ human footprints embedded in the cave floor or surrounding sediments. At major petroglyph sites, scholars documented thousands of carved images with exact coordinates and dates. They did not log preserved footprint trails in the adjacent ground as part of the official archive. Regional survey reports describe pathways, habitation zones, and ritual landscapes. They do not include a standardized register of fossilized or preserved human tracks. This produces a quiet tension in the institutional record. On one hand, the Altai contains one of the most detailed archaeological archives of early human presence in the world. On the other, a documented footprint dataset, the most direct physical trace of movement, is missing from that archive. In other parts of the world, preserved human footprints have been excavated and dated with precision. At several sites in the Americas, buried tracks were recorded, measured, and incorporated into formal scientific databases. Those impressions became part of official institutional knowledge about early migration and movement. In the Altai Highlands, no equivalent footprint registry exists in published excavations, museum collections, or national heritage databases. This absence is not framed as an oversight in the literature, It appears instead as a consistent silence across multiple institutions. National heritage agencies in Russia and Mongolia maintain extensive site inventories. UNESCO documentation for Altai rock art catalogues, images, locations, and preservation status with exacting detail. University-led projects continue to publish stratigraphic, genetic, and cultural findings from the region. None of these records currently list a verified preserved set of ancient human footprints in the highland landscape itself. Whether this reflects preservation conditions, research priorities, or reporting conventions is not explicitly stated in the archive. What is clear is the contrast. The Altai Highlands are documented through tools, bones, monuments, and art. Movement is inferred from site placement and landscape patterns. But when the question turns to a formal footprint record, the institutional archive provides no clear entry. That absence now sits alongside everything that is known about history, has a way of hiding the truth inside what it chooses not to explain. Inside tales, inside myths, inside legends, inside things that feel just a little off. If this story held your attention, subscribe to Strange But True, because sometimes what sounds unbelievable is exactly where the truth hides.